Please stand by. We are about to begin. Good day and welcome to the NXT Evolution call. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Adam Hopkins. Please go ahead.
Thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and happy holidays. We're hoping everybody has a great holiday season. I won't take too long. We're just finishing up yesterday and some of today. Some of our superstars are doing tribute to the troops over at Fort Benning. We just got back from there from last night from a great taping that you will see on both NBC and USA Network over the next couple of weeks. It was a great time, and as always, those days are most special days personally in my career, and I can speak most likely for the talent too as well, that they enjoy that day as much as the soldiers do. Without any further ado, I'm going to turn the call over to the one and only Paul Triple H.
How you doing? Thank you guys all for taking part in this again today. I really appreciate it as we continue with the development of the Performance Center and NXT as a brand, and pun intended, our evolution. It's exciting to see as we have these calls every time. I really look forward to them. It's kind of like a flagpole in the ground, and as I start to think about the conversations, it makes me think about the last conversations that we all had and where we've moved and how things have changed since then. So it's really cool to do. Before we get started, I just wanted to take 1 minute to thank a couple of different people that are participating today. One being the Miami Herald, WrestleView, and also Wrestling Observer. I've thrown it out there numerous times of if anybody that wants to come to the Performance Center, that wants to come and check out what we do, take the tour, get a feel and dig into kind of what we do, check out our medical staff and our rehab facility and our gym and everything else that we have here. I've thrown it out before. I'll throw it out again today, that option and is available. That is available to everybody out there. If they want to, just give us a call. But the Wrestling Observer, WrestleView, Miami Herald, all kind of took us up on that offer and came down here and hopefully had a great experience. And, I want to thank them for that, because anytime we can get the message out and, kind of, I think show everybody in the world that we're an open book on this stuff, and what we do is out for everybody to take a look at. And if they're willing to come and take a look, we're willing to come and show it to you any way you want. And I think it dispels a lot of the myths and just the misconceptions about who and what we are. So, I think that, again, to get into the NXT Takeover, our evolution, which, again, will take place tomorrow night, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you are in the UK, and unfortunately the network is not there yet, which we are feverishly working on, you can check it out on Sky Sports 3 Saturday night at 11 p.m. I think this is going to be another great showcase for our talent and for showcasing what a bright future the WWE has from a talent perspective in general. I don't think I need to go through the entire card, but, for me, I'm certainly looking forward to, an epic encounter between Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn for the NXT Championship. I just feel like they great chemistry in the ring, and two of the guys that are just so ready to take things to the next level and so ready to make their impact on the WWE in general. From a diva standpoint, Charlotte and Sasha Banks for the NXT Women's Championships, both of them I couldn't be more proud of. I think taking the Divas division and representing women in a whole new way going forward in the future, and how they represent the brand and all of it. It's very exciting for the women of the future. And I know Charlotte has been very vocal about setting a new standard, and I know that Sasha and the others feel the same way. So I'm very excited about that. Also, tomorrow you're going to be seeing the Ascension versus Finn Balor and Hideo Itami. Exciting night. The Ascension brings what they bring to the table, which is a lot of power and destruction. They are very old school in that sense, but I'm really excited to check out in a bigger way Hideo and Finn Balor, of just, again, taking NXT to the next level and showing the world really what the future is going to be all about. And I promise you that Finn Balor and Hideo tomorrow are going to show you some things that you've never seen before, especially Finn Balor. And also, I'm very excited about the rest of the card as well. The Lucha Dragons, the Vaudevillains. I mean, it's a really packed card. I think it's going to be good all the way around. And also the debut of Kevin Owens, who, comes with us with an extensive background. Really excited to see when given the opportunity here where he can take things. I know he's very focused and very driven on proving him. It's taken him a long time to get here, and I'm really excited about where he can take things. It wouldn't be fair for me not to put my Triple H hat on for a second and to go into shameless self-promotion just for a second and talk about our new fitness DVDs that Steph and I have coming out. And just that is a great opportunity. I think it's one of the passions for Steph and I and for the WWE in general is to, look at the world in general and say it wouldn't hurt people to be more healthy and in better shape. And it just, it's a good thing all the way around. And that's really what we're trying to do, is just make a simple, safe, effective way for people to get in better shape. And if we can use the platform of the WWE and our superstars to do that, then I think we're on to something good. So really excited about that coming out. But with that coming in the near future, but right now we're here to talk about NXT, our evolution. So I'm going to open it up and let's get to it.
Guys, I think like the last time, we'll just try and keep it to 2 questions per outlet so we can try to get to as many as possible. Thanks.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question, please signal by pressing star 1 on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Again, press star 1 to ask a question. We'll pause for just a moment to allow everyone an opportunity to signal for questions. And we'll take our first question from Mike Johnson with pwinsider.com.
P-Winsider, that's a new one. It's PW Insider.
I thought you guys rebranded. Good, I thought you guys rebranded for a second.
Not this week. Just to reiterate what you said, when I was at the Performance Center for the opening, I couldn't believe how tremendous that place is, and I've said that to Adam in the past as well. It really is like an Olympic training facility, or what an Olympic training facility would be for professional wrestling. And
sure.
It continues. I'm beyond impressed with that place. 2 questions. One, Takeover, Our Evolution is tomorrow. On Monday, you guys had Charlotte on Raw. She was first appearance on Raw, promotional video to explain who she is. And one of the reasons you have these talents on Raw is to try and get the Raw audience interested in subscribing to the WWE Network and to get them interested in seeing the NXT specials, because that's obviously a big draw for the network. Then she's only in the ring for 2 minutes, and she's an NXT champion. She loses to Natalya. Obviously, on Raw, you're not going to give the amount of time that you gave these two on a previous Takeover special. But take me through the mindset of why have her on such a short segment, and how does that help get eyeballs on NXT and on the network? I didn't understand it.
Yeah, so, one of the difficult things about live programming is it's live, and times are crunched, times are tweaked. It's, having been in a million different things going on that night, I can't speak to the exact amount of time that they were given or had. But the show is in flux. It's live, and I'm sure they were, just having seen what happened that night, I know they were given more time than that. But by the time they get there, things go over, things get crunched, and we're trying to, we have a lot of responsibilities to make within that show of commercials, and it's not just we can't just throw things on the air, and they are what they are. Would we have preferred to give them more time? Hell, I'd have loved to have given them the time I gave them at the NXT special and be able to showcase what they do. You know, as far as the decision of you know, who went over, and Natty or Charlotte or anything like that, those decisions are heavily debated and made. It is what it is. At the end of the day, for me, it's about promotion. When you look at what they have done in NXT and every place else, the amount of people that see them there compared to the amount of people that will see them on Monday Night Raw, with the whole world watching, the difference is mind-boggling. And just for them to be exposed in that vein is massive. You know, it isn't to get Charlotte, you know, a lot of people going, oh, this is her debut and all those things. Well, it was in some way, but, you know, it's not like she's going to be on there again next week. And by the time she is back on Raw and ready to be competing on Raw on a regular basis and performing on Raw, you'll see a different Charlotte, and you'll see it presented in a different way. It was really just exposure. You know, as far as what the outcome was, that could be debated. And, you know, but it is what it is. And I like, you know, I put out a picture of her last year, you know, afterwards of she and I, because she was so emotional afterwards and came back, and it was just such a positive for everybody involved, for Natty, for her. They were so excited about the opportunity and just getting to do it and do it in the way that they did. And, you know, you can go back and you can pick apart bits and pieces of it, all that, but when you overall look at it in the bigger plan, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever it is, no one's going to go like, yeah, but then they killed her on her debut. You know, the bigger picture is involved.
Okay. The second question I have for you is actually regarding the future. You know, it seems like you guys are hitting a rhythm where every certain few months you do an NXT special, and if you continue on that rhythm, the next month looks to be March, which of course is also WrestleMania. That begs the question of taking the special out of Full Sail and maybe moving it to California and putting it on live on the network WrestleMania week, maybe it's part of Access or maybe in a smaller arena. Has there been any talk of taking the NXT brand and doing that and kind of using the WrestleMania synergy to help lift the brand up a little bit more, or is that kind of not in the plans as we speak?
No, we've talked about it. You know, it just becomes like, it sounds easy on paper, like, yeah, let's just throw in another live special on the week of WrestleMania when there's, you know, talent. They're doing 900 appearances and we have Access all day, every day. And it sounds easy on paper. Logistically, making it all happen is a lot. We will more than likely be doing something out there that week with the NXT brand and getting it out there in a bigger way. It's, as you know, a massive part of Access now. And, you know, there's a lot of components that go into doing those shows, and also a lot of expense taking a show like that on the road and recreating what we do here at Full Sail is massive. People, I think you lose perspective about the opportunity that we have as a brand here to do what we do at Full Sail in a where we can put out the same production value and just level WWE level of entertainment that we do here for just a much more economical way of doing it. It's hard to do it anyplace else, but it's certainly something we're looking into. All of it's on the table.
It just seems like, you know, if you guys do a special on Wednesday with all the fans who are coming in from international countries and from all across the United States, it just seems like a nice way to kind of open the gates for WrestleMania week, so to speak.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and again, that's definitely being thought about, and it's a part of it. I don't, whether or not that would be a network special or not, I'm just not sure at this point in time. We don't have all those T's and cross and I's dotted as to whether that's a viable thing yet or not.
All right, fair enough. Thanks for the time, and I'll jump off the call, and continued success for the brand.
Thank you very much, man.
Our next question is from Jason Powell with ProWrestling.net.
Hey, good morning. You mentioned that Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn are essentially ready to take that next step. If we do another one of these conference calls 6 months from now, are we still talking about those guys as NXT regulars?
Well, I'm hoping you're talking about them as WWE superstars. But when you're guys like that, this is the most difficult. I think the most difficult platform that you hit in your career of. I'm ready to go. I'm good to go. I've got what it takes, and I'm trying to learn every day on the difference to take it to that next level that I need to do. But the best place you're going to learn that is on the next level. And now it just depends on. It comes down to where do they fit in strategically? Where do they fit into Raw? Where do they fit into SmackDown? How do you move them into the other shows? So that they can be exposed in the best way possible. No matter how they're brought in, I want to see these guys put in a platform where they can succeed in the best way possible, and that really just depends. It's a lot of a timing issue. It depends on the timing of when there's a need and when they're brought in and all of that. So my hope is the same as yours. That 6 months from now we have this call. Maybe neither one of them are here. But I think that sooner than later, you're definitely going to see them making the move. And that's the whole point of NXT, is to percolate these guys up to the top. And then, once they're there, is to let them stay and continue to gather that experience while the right opportunity becomes available for them. And to continue as we grow this brand into its own brand, is continue to have them touring and have the same opportunities that the main roster talent do, where it doesn't become, I've said this before, and I don't look at this now as much as developmental as I do as a separate brand, and they have that same opportunity of touring and working and all this stuff, so that they can have a meaningful experience to their career while they're here. It just becomes the frustrating part for them of, when, right? It's being on the AAA baseball team and knowing that you should be pitching in the majors, and you're just waiting for the spot to open up.
I've also been told by some people that people within your department have kind of warned some recruits that it could be a 2-year waiting period as far as starting with NXT and then getting to the main roster. If that's accurate, is that standard notification, more of a friendly advisory from someone in your department to a guy, just kind of telling him not to get his hopes up? And if this is accurate, is that would you make an exception if you found someone that came in, you felt they were ready and they could make a difference right now?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, if you've heard that information, we're honest with people about the process and what it takes, but you can't put a time frame on anybody. I've seen guys come into this business. I'll just go back in time and give you an example, like Kurt Angle. I never saw anybody pick this up faster in my life. Like, he just went from one day never doing it to all of a sudden wow, this guy's awesome. You get that, and then you get guys that it takes them a long time. And the thing is, here we have guys that are coming in. They've never stepped through the ropes before. We bring them in, we give them a tryout, they hit the ropes, they do a lot of stuff here that for us evaluates whether they have the capacity mentally and physically to succeed in this business, and the desire, which is a big component. And if they have that and we choose to move forward with them, we have to be honest with them. If they've never done this before, you're not going to be out of here in 3 months. You're going to be here for a while because you've got to learn how to do this. And then once you learn how to do it, then you've got to go out and do it live in front of crowds and pick that part of it up. For guys that are coming in here with a massive amount of experience, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, those guys are at a different level. Hideo, they're at a different level, and they have this experience. Now it's adapting culturally, if you want to say it that way, to the WWE style. It's different playbooks, right? And we run a playbook a certain way, and that's what we need them to adapt to. But as they do, they become ready to go much faster, and then it's about the spot opening up. Is that quick? Yeah. Is that not quick? It depends, and I've been honest with all those guys. The thing is, here we can give them the opportunity to come here, the Performance Center, but they're also performing. they're performing every weekend almost. I mean, and my goal is to have them performing as much as the main roster, and smaller venues and all that stuff, but they're getting the same experience. If they were still working the indies, having to hustle and book themselves all over the place, they're getting the same experience with us. They're getting that same satisfaction, and in all fairness, probably making more money here doing that than they would hustling on the indies. And it's just what they want to be. But even with those guys, I've been honest with them and say, listen, you come in here with all the experience in the world. If it happens fast, great. If it happens slow, that's what the opportunity is. And then you have to make the decision. If it's not working out for you, we'll discuss it. We'll part ways amicably. If you're cool with the weight and all the stuff, and you're still enjoying the process and the work, great. That's awesome too, because I can't say to somebody, hey, you come in here and you're going to be out of here in 3 months. Just can't say it. It's a living, breathing organism, all of it,
Well, hey, thanks again for the time, and as always, best of luck with the show.
Thanks, Jason.
The next question is from Scott Fishman with the Miami Herald.
Hey, Triple H, good talking to you again.
Thanks, Scott.
When we talk about Kevin Owens, there's a lot of buzz about his debut. If you could just provide some insight on your interactions with him and, his mindset moving in, because you talk about the WWE style and, making that transition. And you've probably had a chance to see some workouts involving him. So if you could just give us some thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about it. This is one of the things we discuss all the time, and I try to keep an open dialogue with him and with all the talent coming in once they get to that higher level of doing things here, and clearly he's at that level. It's getting up to speed on how we do things and different. And to be honest, there's a difference in how crowds react. There's a difference in how the crowd reacts here at Full Sail to how they're going to react in New York City at Madison Square Garden or Chicago, and it's different every place you go, and the way we present things. The bigger thing for a lot of them is getting up to speed that we are a television show, and trying to, I'll give you an example of Finn Balor. A couple of months ago or a month ago, I think we were going through all this stuff with him and working on entrances and just camera spots and how he does things. And at the end of the day, he looked a little frazzled. I said, "You doing all right with all this?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm just it's overwhelming sometimes, And I said, "Well, talk to me about what you're overwhelmed with." And he just said, he goes, "Dude, I've never had anybody ever talk to me about production of an entrance or hitting music cues or, hey, if you come to me this way on your entrance, I'm going to have a camera swing around this way, a jib camera swing around this way so I can pick up your face on this," and trying to get them in position. He said, I just walked to the ring and did what I did, and they shot it, and that was the end of it. And, we're trying to put on a platform in the biggest way possible. And that's not easy to see when you're watching Raw or SmackDown, the things that we do and how we try to present the product. But it does create a big difference of the things you see and don't see, and that's where it becomes the process to these guys is going from being just a guy that goes to the ring, performs and does what he does, and whether the cameras get it or not, they get it or not. We're a TV show. We want to get every little nuance and every moment and facial reaction and all those things to make it as big as possible, and that's probably the biggest challenge.
Right. And you talk about NXT as its own, third brand and its own separate entity. Was there any discussions about maybe featuring the NXT Championship on pay-per-view? I mean, as a regular WWE pay-per-views every month, much like you do the other WWE championships?
We've talked about it. We've talked about various things from, sometimes doing things in the kickoff with it or, moving it up. And listen, I'm thrilled right now that that the brand itself is getting that kind of recognition. You go back 6 months ago, we weren't getting a mention, and then we had the tag match on Raw for the last special, and this time we had Charlotte wrestling Natty, and we got a promotional package, and we're hyping ourselves up a lot and that's great for me because it just helps the brand and it helps people wanting to watch. You know, at the end of the day, my goal is to get as many eyeballs on NXT as possible to create a buzz about the future so that when our stars from NXT come up to the main roster, they're already stars in some way, and people are excited about seeing what they can do. And when I say people are excited about what they can do, I mean the masses too, not just, you know, the smaller percentage that are already aware of who they were from, you know, the indies or from what they've done in the past. I'm talking about the masses, the mass audience of Raw that watches every week and or either our regular fans or our casual fans have heard of them and are excited about their entry into it. So we're open to all of that, and I'm open to all of that. And trust me, I'm constantly making suggestions about bigger and more visible ways we can put the brand out there. But, you know, it's one step at a time, and we get there slowly but surely. As Vince will say all the time, slowly but surely we will become an overnight success.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next question is from Brian Fritz with the Sporting News.
Hey, Paul. There's been so much change and so much improvement to developmental over the past couple of years. What do you have in store, or what are the plans right now going into 2015 for any tweaks or improvements when it comes to developmental and the Performance Center?
Well, I mean, the Performance Center, all of this stuff is a work in progress, and it's constant, whether it be, whether it be implementing an acting coach into their curriculum here to try to have, especially people that have never been on camera before or, you know, have no on-camera presence, to try to find something that they can tap into inside themselves as a character, or it's just constantly a work in progress. So from here, from the training standpoint, we're constantly looking for new avenues in which we can help them to develop, constantly working on new things here as far as what can help even the talent on the main roster, you know, getting our medical staff. We just had a thing down here where they all got certified in ART, which is a type of therapy stuff. So, you know, just all things that can help them develop and grow as performers and help keep them healthy and performing and all of it. But from the brand standpoint of NXT, again, my goal is just to continue to make this its own living, breathing brand. And my goal in the next year really is to have this brand touring. Right now, majority of our touring is in the Florida area, Central Florida especially, and repeating a lot of the same places. But my goal is to get outside, probably start in the Southeast first and expand out from there. Where it's a lot of work in progress to put a full-on touring organization on the ground and get it going and have it not have it succeed. But that's the process now for me is I want to get as many eyeballs on NXT as possible and then take it out on the road and show people what it is and give them, an alternative brand. And it's just getting these guys experience with the end goal, never losing sight of the end goal, which is to get them to Raw, get them to SmackDown. I'm hoping, 2, 3, 4 years from now that I'm sitting backstage at WrestleMania and every match has guys that we've cultivated in some way in it, and that's the coolest part of it to me. And you see a lot of that success already, but it's just continuing to take it through the next level of it succeeding on its own and giving these guys the best experience possible to get to that next level.
I know you and WWE are always looking for athletes from other sports to possibly become WWE superstars, and the belief was that the Performance Center would definitely help in recruitment. Has that been the case, and when could we possibly see, or how is that going when it comes to getting other athletes, and when could we possibly see any others be featured more in NXT or make their way there and possibly up to the main roster?
We already have a lot of talent from outside sports. We have a lot of people here, so I would have to look at those to give you exact. But I have a couple of soccer players from Europe, like professional soccer players from Europe in the system right now. Baron Corbin was an NFL guy. I've got probably, I think, 4 or 5 guys pretty much straight out of NFL in here now. I'm trying to think. We have a couple of World's Strongest Man competitors. We have 1 Olympic athlete or 2 at this point, a bunch of NCAA and high-level collegiate amateur wrestlers in here. So, we are now getting to the point where athletes from around the globe, and it took a little while, and it took us reaching out there as, when I was working with one of the guys when we first opened the Performance Center from the NFL, he said to me that when he ended his career, he wanted nothing more than to get into the WWE, but he just couldn't figure out how to do it. And he called everybody he could, and he just couldn't get an answer on how to get it in with us. And eventually, he just let it drop, and he never did it. And he works with the NFL now and players relations and all that. But we used to be the best kept secret of how do you get into that, and how do you do it. Nobody knew, and now we're getting the word out there that how do you do it and how do you go about doing it is through the Performance Center, and there's a path to that. My recruiting team here is doing a great job. They just got back from Brazil, doing a massive campaign there. They just on the same trip went from Brazil over to India, and we just hired 3 or 4 guys from India. High-level kushti and kabaddi guys, if anybody knows what that is. It's us recruiting globally, trying to make the biggest impact we can, but the word is out there now, so we're not having to just go flip rocks over and look for guys. They're coming to us now and starting to realize, like, okay, this is how you do it, and you call here, and these guys are moving in the right direction. So it's exciting time, and I think in the next 2 or 3 more years, you're going to see a really big influx of outside sports people trying to get involved in this. And it's funny to me that sometimes that's criticized because people look at it and say, well, why don't you bring in wrestlers that are wrestling on the indies? And clearly we do. It's just everybody starts somewhere, and how you start is irrelevant. It's where you finish. So.
Thanks, Paul. I always appreciate the time.
Thank you very much.
The next question is from Justin LeBar with WrestleZone.com.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for speaking with us. Going back to Kevin Owens, who his debut has been hyped online on the W website and such. Can you talk about the pros and the challenges? I guess maybe from a creative standpoint and then 2 different audiences, the casual and the hardcore, of trying to start something fresh and new in this chapter of his career and with WWE and NXT, but also having to deal with prior reputation and prior, what people know about him. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a fine line, right? You want to bring in somebody that, my goal is to bring in somebody that has that level of experience. You look at a guy like Kevin that has, I think, 14 years of prior experience in some level in the business, and you don't want to make like that didn't ever happen. You want to give him the ability to showcase what he does, and not make like that didn't happen. But at the same point in time, you need to make it a WWE product, right? So it's a fine line of kind of keeping a bit of both. Sometimes you can't do it, and sometimes it's just a wholesale start over. For other guys, you're going to see that they come in here and it's not a whole lot of wholesale shift in what they were before. It just really depends on, you can look at some guys and what they do and say, yeah, this will fit right in. And other guys, you say, this needs some change. You can see where it will succeed, and you can see how good of a performer they are. It's just succeeding and them growing and changing, and that sometimes is painful and hard to do. Other times it's funny. Other times the fan base is more angry. Like the talent come in here and they want to start over and they want to make a wholesale change and they want to change every single thing about them, and like it's like a fresh coat of paint and a new day starting for them. No pun intended. And and they're so excited about it, and fans are crapping all over it, and how could they do this, and why would they change? And it's interesting to see that perspective sometimes. But this is all. It's not about denying what anybody's done or their success. It's about helping them to grow into being the best performer that they can, and doing it within the business environment, which is massive, of the WWE.
And thank you. And my second question was, I know you mentioned earlier about wanting to maybe tour more with NXT, and obviously the number one goal is to get eyeballs and brand awareness. Behind that number one goal, would you say a second important reason doing that would be to maybe try to eliminate the curve or the handicap of different characters being, the character gets over maybe in one way at wholesale in front of a smaller crowd, in front of a repeat crowd, but then you put them in a 15,000 person arena and it might be a different reaction. I kind of think about Adam Rose in that respect. Is that a big part of wanting to have to grow, just to let these characters get different feedback from different audiences?
It is, and it is certainly the more eyeballs and the more chances they get to step up to the plate and do it, the better the character is, the better the performance is. You can bring up Adam Rose. I don't know if people thought we were just going to take Adam Rose off of NXT, throw him on in the brief time that character was on NXT, and throw him on Raw, and it was just going to be the exact same reaction in the exact same way the entire time. That wasn't what we thought. We knew what it was, and we knew how it was going to be received more than likely, and that it was a work in progress, and it still is. It's, no matter what you do and where you go, it's going to be slightly different, and that's the work in progress. And when we say, you have to, it's tough to do, and there's, it can be debated afterwards, and hindsight 2020, whether the decisions were made the right way or the wrong way, but you're constantly trying to just look at the environment and look at those reactions and tweak accordingly for the talent and the characters to succeed in the best way possible. But when it comes to the live events and TV, giving them as much opportunity to go out there and do this every single night, get different reactions, tweak the character, change what they need to change in order to make it successful, is their best opportunity to succeed. There's no denying it.
Well, thanks very much for the time, and have a good show tomorrow.
Thanks, Justin.
The next question is from Dave Scherer with PWInsider.com.
Hey, got it right. That's awesome. How you doing, Paul?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm great, man. I can't complain. You talked earlier about the process of getting more eyeballs on NXT, getting on Raw, etc. Obviously, you work with your father-in-law. He's got the final say as to what does and doesn't get on Raw with your NXT guys. Give us like an idea of what it's like when you go to him with ideas of, for example, hey, can we put Charlotte on Raw this week? What's the process like?
To be honest, that wasn't even me, the writer. I've obviously. So there's a difference in the process of how that goes, and the writers are dealing with Vince on a regular basis. I have the creative team as a department that works under me. It's more the management of the creative team, and I have given them direction of, listen, when possible, try to get these things in there, especially with NXT, a special coming up, try to get us some promotion within the show and move some things in. And they came to me last week and said, hey, are you cool if we pitch doing something with Charlotte in the show as something to expose NXT? And absolutely. Going forward from there, they said, yeah, Vince was cool with it. They put it in the show. Great. To be quite honest, the day before I heard, they're going to do a package and they're going to do a graphic with, the stuff on the card. And I was like, that's phenomenal. From there, they discussed the rest of it. And then that day was, in the production meeting was where kind of everything was all laid out. But I really didn't have a whole lot to do with that one as far as putting it out there of what, I would like to see within the show The time before that I did, it was me saying, like, listen, we've got this fatal four-way. Can we split this thing up, make a tag, and get it in the show and give it some really good exposure? I think these guys will knock it out of the park. At this point, he's seen, most of the stuff in NXT. He's so busy he doesn't get to see all of it, but he knows who's doing well and who's succeeding and who can handle the spot on Raw. And, if the suggestion is made and it fits in the show, he's more than happy to do it.
You talked about guys doing well, and he knows who's doing really well right now. Sammy has been amazing with his interviews of late, leading up to this match. The promotion's been so great. I can't wait. I'm like you. I know you're the same way because it's like your babies, but I can't wait for tomorrow night. And I've been watching the work that Sammy's been doing on the mic, and I was just a lot of guys like you talked about the tweaking when they come up. Do you think Sami Zayn, as he is right now, could come up to the WWE roster, do that exact same character, and knock it out of the park? Because I really do.
I do. Sammy's the kind of guy, he and I talk about this, is like, so, you try to put a descriptor on Sammy is hard, right? He like, I joked with him when he first started that, like, you're like the red-headed Canadian Arab kid that's a really nice guy that's nondescript. Like, he should just be like, hey, Bob from down the street. You know what I mean? He's so, but yet he is so good and so emotionally captivating as a performer. And you got to remember, this is a guy that came out of a mask. His facial expressions and the way he can captivate you emotionally and the way he does things, it's extraordinary where he's come from with none of that to where he is now. It's amazing. I do think he could succeed. I think it would take some time, right? He's the slow build kind of guy that you just have, as a fan, there's not a lot of flash on him where you go like, oh my God. Like Adrian Neville goes to the ring, you see him, you're like, geez, look at him. And then he goes in there and he's doing all this amazing stuff. And when you're done, you're like, holy cow. Sammy's not that guy, even though he does amazing stuff. But he's not that holy cow right out the get-go guy. But, every time you see him, he wins you over with that emotion and that quality and that realness, and he lets you inside of who he is as a person. And, it's very Steamboat-esque in a way of that level of emotional connection to a talent that takes you and really invests you in him as a person and as a character, where I think that once it might take him longer to get there, but once he does get there and he does like emotionally suck you in, you're in, and
you're his guy.
Yeah, and he's got you, and it's long term, and you're invested in him, and you feel his failure, and you cheer his success, and you're just emotionally invested in this kid. I feel like that's what he's done here at NXT, and his growth curve has been phenomenal. He had all the tools, but to see him do what he's done in relatively, I know he'll say it's forever, but in a relatively short period of time is awesome, and he's a guy that I can't wait for him to be able to get that opportunity on the roster, because I think he's going to be one of those guys that, I said earlier, 5 years from now, I'm sitting at a WrestleMania going like, look at that, man,
We did that.
Yeah. Well, he did. I don't want to put that, but he did. But like, there's just that watching that happen and watching a kid grow and watching them become what they can become. Man, that's the excitement now for me.
It's got to be. Well, have a great show tomorrow night and have a great holiday season. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right, guys, we're at the time limit, so we're going to do one more outlet before we have to wrap up.
Our next question is from Mayor Nissum with Digital Spy.
No, yeah, Hi, wait 1 second before you go, though. Like, look, well, hold on. Vince can just call like a 15-minute audible on the network because he owns it and stuff. Like, I can only do one more question. I can't get a. Let's do two.
Okay. Man has spoken. Two more.
Yeah. There. That'll show you guys the power I have.
Cheers, thank you. William Regal is a fantastic success on NXT. He's one of the big reasons why it's such a fantastic watch. He's been great in all his roles there. Is there any chance of him coming back to Raw and SmackDown in the future off the back of how fantastic he's been on NXT?
I don't know if you've ever seen the WWE. Never say never, right? Crazier things have happened. You know, the success for William Regal, who is an amazing asset to the WWE, to NXT. I look at him as you know, you can see what's on camera. The massive success for me with him is the recruiting process. He's one of my tools of recruiting, because as I have these other guys going around there, and like we talked about, bringing in all these people from all these different places and all different walks of life, and getting them interested in who we are and what we are, and do they want to try to do this for a living. Regal is the guy in a big way that is really saying, yeah, this kid's got something athletically, he's good, or, you know, this guy might struggle with the in-ring stuff, but God, what a personality. Or he is such a big component of that for me, and me knowing him so well, it's good, because I know what he looks at, I know what he thinks is great, he knows what I think works, and together there's a great synergy there where I can read into what he's telling me about a talent and say yes or no really quickly. And there's a great dynamic there in our recruiting department between WWE's head of recruiting, which is Canyon Seaman, and then Regal being on the partnership with him on the kind of the talent side of it. It's awesome, and I'm really, really happy with that, and he has been a phenomenal part of the success of this.
Fantastic, thank you. And also, a lot of guys who used to be involved in the company, people like Steve Austin and Jim Ross, they've complained that promos are overscripted in the main product. And I was wondering if at NXT there's been any thought in that direction, and along with acting classes and things like that, about helping people ad lib and looking at kind of NXT as a way of helping people in that regard to be more spontaneous, perhaps, for when they get elevated to the main roster.
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest things that we look at here is, trying to re-engineer where we are now. We've come to a point where, for a lot of guys, we have to script it out for them, because they can't do it any other way, or they don't have that ability to do it the other way. Here we try to be much more open to them with giving them concepts, ideas, and letting them go. But also working with guys that if we have to script it, it's fine for it to be scripted as long as they can emotionally connect with it. If you sound like you're reading it off a script, that doesn't work. You have to emotionally connect with the things that you're saying, and they have to come from inside and be emotional. So it doesn't really, I've seen guys that are phenomenal promo guys where they're, word for word off a piece of paper, and then I've seen other guys that it's not a bit of it is scripted, and they're both awesome. So they both have merit, and they can both work if done in the right way. For us, it's no matter how we get there, is just making them great. And I think you see a lot of success in this. Sami Zayn is the guy that just knocks it out of the park. Same with Neville. Adrian Neville was a guy that we really couldn't put a microphone in front of him when he first got here. He had just never done it before, and now he's good at it. So it's a work in progress, but it's definitely something that we do.
Brilliant, thank you.
Our next question is from Sami Zaatari with Gulf News.
All right, hi. Thanks for having me. So my question is related to NXT's growing popularity and the interest it's garnering amongst many fans. What would you put that down to? Why are a lot of people interested in NXT? I mean, another example of its popularity is that NXT Takeover is going to be shown on the OSN network on Thursday, I believe, or Saturday. And it's one of the biggest networks in the Middle East, so you're getting major coverage. And also related to that, how much further can you see it going in terms of popularity? Because just look at the past year, how much it's grown, and even just the past few months. So where do you see it going in the next year in terms of popularity? What do you put it down to?
I put it down to the amazing talent that are in it, and the product that we put out, I think is very good. And It's like the movie, if you build it, they will come, right? So it's we're putting out a good product with great talent on it, and I think people are excited about that. To answer your question, it is on OSN, and it's Saturday at 8 p.m. But it's also going to be airing on J Sports in Japan. It's not just the WWE Network. It's on a lot of places around the globe, including the WWE Network. And it does have a massive following everywhere. Sometimes when we're going internationally now, the NXT guys that are fortunate enough to get on some of the main roster tours are getting as big, if not bigger, reaction than some of our guys on the main roster, which is awesome. That's my goal, is to make this product as good as possible, as big as possible, to be a third alternate brand, to be able to put it everywhere, let as many people see it as possible, make it as popular as possible, and then, to use that as a platform for guys to move on and move to other places. And I think it's also one of the things that will help NXT be successful is it'll in some ways, hopefully, always remain to be fresh, because the talent, when you have a guy that's a top guy and he's there for a period of time and he's in the top slot and he's been running hard for a long time in that slot, and then he gets called to Raw or SmackDown, it creates a new opportunity and a new freedom for somebody else to step up and take it to another level. And that makes the show exciting. It makes the show fresh. It also allows for guys to come off the main roster that have, spent some time as this, is looked at as a third brand, that maybe they can come and take some time off of Raw and SmackDown and come down here for a little bit and continue to work, but yet, just kind of take a little vacation from the main roster and come back in a few months later, or try something new down here. It's a huge platform. But the success, if you want to say that, the secret to the success is, I think, just a good show with great performers on it. And we let them do what they do best, which is perform.
All right, thanks. My second question is related to Sami Zayn, and he's already been brought up in this conversation. And you even touched upon it, that he comes from an Arab descent, and so I'm obviously asking this from the Middle East. Can he be, if he makes it to the main roster, can he be what the great Khali was to the Indian market? Let's face it, there's not a lot of Middle Eastern performers in the WWE, but if Middle Eastern children probably see someone coming from their background, do you think this can inspire them? And as you say, maybe a platform for them to think that they can break into the industry? The WWE is already very popular in the Middle East, but could this potentially make it more popular, and the next step, making a young Arab child think that I can go to the WWE, make it like Sami Zayn, and be the next big thing?
Absolutely. I think that definitely helps. I think that, as I talked about earlier, we just were, for the second time recently, we're just in India. And I said, in those trips over there, we've had talent coming in from all over the Middle East. And that's a large focus to us, is finding the best athletes all over the globe, whether it's, Japan or somebody from China or Brazil or, the UK. It really, we're scouring the globe and trying to make our product as global as possible and give it to as many people as possible. And if that means that they can reach on to somebody that is like them and speaks their language, and we can make them a cultural hero for them, yeah, that's awesome. That is great. And as that's kind of like an even better proposition for us, because as that happens, more and more and more people see the WWE as a viable opportunity for them and a dream for them that they can achieve, as opposed to just something that just seems, out of grasp of anybody. And that just makes it grow exponentially over time. So yeah, I think he can be a big factor in that.
All right, thank you very much, and please get the WWE Network over here as well, because we want it as well. So
we're working on it.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the conference call. I'll turn it over to Paul one more time for some closing comments.
I'll just say again, I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity, to be able to promote the brand, to be able to promote not only NXT, but, talk about the Performance Center, but more importantly, I think just talk about the future of the WWE in general, the business in general, where it's headed and how we're going to get there, is exciting to me. It's exciting, hopefully, to all of you. It's exciting, I know, to the WWE Universe, our fan bases. It should be exciting, and I think these are important. Hopefully you guys feel the same, and hopefully the forum is open enough for you to be able to ask what you want to ask and get the questions answered you want to have answered, because I look forward to doing them and trying to help people get there. And like I've said before, I'll throw it out again. Performance Center is here. Anybody that wants to come down here, see it, meet our staff, see what we do here, come to a taping, Full Sail, NXT taping, whatever. The opportunity is open for you, and I welcome it, because I think I would love for everybody to see what we do here. Obviously, very proud of it and very proud of where we're headed. So please keep them coming. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great holiday season. Take care.